Since 2022, Bruce Arians has been a senior football consultant for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Arians is a former executive and head coach, and if there's one thing he knows inside out, it's the game of football. Recently, Arians made some observations about the greatest QB of all time, the GOAT, Tom Brady. So stay tuned and don't go away, because Bruce Arians is giving his take on the Buccaneers' pre-Germany struggles and says Tom Brady was playing bad. Plus, Tom Brady distances himself from Gisele Bündchen and his three children by removing them from Twitter. First up, does Bruce Arians like to poke and prod Tom Brady? Well, you're about to find out. Bruce Arians used to run things as the former Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach and loved to poke and prod the GOAT. During an interview with JoeBucksFans.com's Ira Kaufman, Arians supported offensive coordinator Byron Leftwich, who had been under fire for the Buccaneers' recent struggles. Arians said, "I don't think it was fair to Byron. Nobody is going to say that Brady was playing bad, but he was playing bad. We also had growing pains on a young offensive front, and we weren't running well. There comes a time as a play caller when you're losing yards running the ball and you have to say, forget this, I'm putting the ball in Tom's hands." It's no state secret that Arians openly criticized Brady back when he was the head coach. And it's no surprise that he's backing Leftwich, his former offensive coordinator, and once again being critical of Brady. During the interview, Arians also offered his opinions on where things stand for the Bucs as they head further into the season. Leftwich said, "I'm really optimistic about the rest of the season. First off, we're getting healthy. Tom smiled at practice last week for the first time this season. He's going to be fine. I love the swagger we played with Sunday, especially defensively. It's been missing. Seattle's a good running team, but that kid Kenneth Walker went nowhere." Next up, is Tom Brady distancing himself from Gisele Bündchen? Let's take a look. Tom Brady has divorced supermodel wife Gisele Bündchen again, but this time changes were made to his Twitter account that appeared to indicate that this time it's for real. On his Twitter account, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback suddenly removed the header in which he had his back to his ex-wife and their three children, Jack 15, Benjamin 12, and Vivian 9, just one day after he updated his profile picture to include laser eyes in support of cryptocurrencies. It's not uncommon for anyone who gets divorced to make changes to their social media accounts and connections, especially when it comes to photographs with ex-partners. What is raising a few eyebrows, however, is the fact that Brady also removed his children and replaced them with an image of himself in full Bucs gear. Several months ago, reports surfaced that the primary reason for the separation of the seven-time Super Bowl champion and the former Victoria's Secret angel was that Gisele became angry when Brady decided to cancel his retirement plans and return for a 23rd season, instead of spending more time with his family. It's difficult for me to understand why a man who's worth $250 million wouldn't just hang up his cleats and spend more time with his wife and children. But hey, I'm not Tom Brady. Also, what makes his decision even more puzzling is that Fox Sports offered him a 10-year, $375 million offer to work as a commentator. I'd like to hear from all of you at home. Do you think Brady's making a big mistake by reversing his decision to retire? We'd love to know your thoughts, so drop those comments down below. Up next, is Tom Brady's incredible NFL record at risk after the Bucs' embarrassing defeat? We're about to find out. Bucs quarterback Tom Brady is in danger of completing only the second season of his career with less than 10 wins after a shocking upset against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, November 27th. With the Bucs suffering from a ton of injuries, Brady and the Bucs went into overtime and eventually lost 23-17. The GOAT completed 29 passes from 43 attempts for 246 yards and a pair of touchdowns in the brutal loss. Many observers are still scratching their heads and trying to figure out why Brady would even return in 2022, because before the season began, he was offered the lucrative contract from Fox Sports that we mentioned just moments ago, which is actually worth more than his salary as the Bucs QB. Back in February, Brady retired from the NFL after 22 years, but the 45-year-old reversed his decision within days. In his 22 completed NFL seasons, Brady reached 10 Super Bowls, won 7, and even won 14 conference championship games. The GOAT has only ever completed one season with less than 10 wins, and that was back in 2002 when he was with the Patriots. Despite Brady's lackluster season thus far, he and the Bucs remain on course to secure a playoff spot if they win their weak division. Recently, Brady passed an impressive milestone of 100,000 career passing yards. He's the first player in NFL history to accomplish this incredible feat. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere, because we're bringing you the latest NFL news. Next, should the Packers Packers consider starting Jordan Love over Aaron Rodgers for the remainder of the 2022 NFL season? Let's have a look. Aaron Rodgers is nearing the end of his 18th NFL season, and according to some observers, it's time for the Packers to start making decisions for him. After suffering a rib injury against the Eagles, Rodgers was forced to exit early, and the reigning MVP might not be back in time for Week 13 against the Chicago Bears. For the remainder of 2022, the Pack should seriously consider starting Jordan Love and sideline Rodgers. Love is under contract through at least 2023, but without additional playtime, he'll remain an unknown at the most important position on the roster. Ironically, when Love stepped in for Rodgers against the Eagles, it was nearly 15 years to the day after Rodgers first took over for an injured Brett Favre back in 2007. Since Love's arrival, Rodgers has publicly considered retirement or moving to a new team. As QB, though, Rodgers is still close to unmatched when it comes to physical ability. Let's not forget the fact that he still boasts some of the best passing, touch, and precision in the league. In his recent game against the Eagles, he started with a bad thumb and worked his magic to keep Green Bay within striking distance of the Eagles. What do you think? Should the Packers start Jordan Love for the rest of the season? Personally, I think that would be a great idea, and I'm sure scores of cheeseheads probably feel the same way. In fact, I think the Packers QB spot has needed some fresh blood for some time. Up next, should the Eagles be outlawed from wearing black? You be the judge. Some have argued that the Philadelphia Eagles black alternates are silly. Many fans have begun to argue that the Kelly green color scheme is not being used enough and that it's unacceptable. These critics assert that choosing to use black is lazy and boring. The same could be said for Team Canada. Canada's hockey teams wear black regularly, even though black doesn't appear anywhere in the Canadian flag. Sports fans are living in the era of 4K TV, and they want to see colors pop and jump off the screen. When sports teams wear black, they closely resemble a platoon of Blackwater mercenaries, and it's a bad look. NFL fan complaints regarding jersey colors have been increasing over the past few years, and many people are hoping that a change will come soon. According to these disgruntled sports fans, and to be clear, not just NFL fans, if black isn't part of a team's original color scheme, they shouldn't be wearing it. For these fans, only the following teams should be wearing black: the Boston Bruins, the Ottawa Senators, Pittsburgh Penguins, Chicago Bulls, Portland Trailblazers, San Antonio Spurs, Las Vegas Raiders, Cincinnati Bengals, Pittsburgh Steelers, Atlanta Falcons, and the Carolina Panthers. For these fans, if you're not on that list, you shouldn't be wearing black. So what do you think? Does it really matter what color a team's jersey is? Or do you think these disgruntled fans are coming out of left field? Finally, how did Lamar Jackson respond to an NFL fan who called on the Ravens to let him leave at the end of the season? After watching Jackson complete only 50% of his passes against the Jaguars, an angry fan took to Twitter and said, "Let Lamar walk and spend that money on a well-rounded team." Jackson, the Ravens QB, was actually tagged in the tweet and responded with the acronym STFU. We run a clean show here, so you can use your imagination to figure out what the acronym stands for, but clearly Jackson didn't appreciate the fans' remarks. There were actually more vulgarities involved in Jackson's response, but we won't reveal those here. Now, Jackson might find himself in hot water with the NFL. Ravens head coach John Harbaugh responded to the incident by saying, "I just talked to these guys. We talk a lot about football, but we also talk a little about that stuff too. What goes on in terms of social media and everything, I really just beg guys not to get into the Twitter world right after the game, especially after a loss. It's never going to be positive. It's not going to be a nice place." Well, that's a wrap for today's video, sports fans. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit the like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
A rating of 12. To the outside he goes here. Cooper Cup.